My village lost an entire generation of children in 5 minutes. I found my teacher's final act of protection under the rubble. On October 21, 1966, the children of Aberfan, a small mining village in Wales, walked to school through a thick, drizzling mist. It was the last day before their half-term holiday. Above the village sat Tip 7, a massive 111-foot mountain of coal waste discarded by the local mines. The miners knew the mountain was dangerous. They had warned the authorities that it was built over a natural spring, but the warnings were ignored. At 9:15 a.m., the unthinkable happened. The heavy rain had turned the coal dust into a factual phenomenon called liquefaction. The solid mountain of waste suddenly turned into a river of black slurry, moving at 30 miles per hour. It didn't just slide, it roared down the hillside like a tidal wave of ink, carrying enough force to level houses and snap trees like toothpicks. The slurry hit Pantglass Junior School just as the children were finishing their morning assembly. There was no time to run. One survivor described hearing a sound like a low-flying jet, followed by a sudden crushing darkness. The factual horror was the nature of the debris. Unlike a snow avalanche, coal slurry is heavy, dense, and suffocating. It filled the classrooms to the ceiling in seconds. As the news spread, the miners, the fathers of the children inside, ran from the pits, still covered in coal dust, and began digging with their bare hands. They worked in a desperate, frantic silence. Every few minutes a whistle would blow, and hundreds of men would freeze, holding their breath, listening for a cry or a whimper from beneath the black mud. I was one of the men on that pile. We dug for 10 hours straight, until our fingernails were gone and our backs were broken. When we finally reached the area that had been the 4th grade classroom, we found something that broke even the toughest miners. We found the teacher, Nancy Williams. She hadn't tried to run for the door. When she heard the mountain move, she had gathered 5 of her students into a corner and thrown herself over them like a human shield. She had braced her body against a heavy wooden desk, taking the full weight of the black slurry and the collapsing roof. The tragedy was the Aberfan silence. Because Nancy took the impact, the children beneath her were found alive, but nearly every other child in the school was gone. That day, 116 children, almost the entire youth population of the village, perished. The saddest part wasn't just the loss, it was the aftermath. For years, the village playground remained empty because there were no children left to play in it. The town clock was stopped at 9:15 a.m., a permanent reminder of the moment time stood still for an entire generation. We realized that the mountain wasn't just made of coal, it was made of the negligence of men who valued the profit of the mines more than the lives of the families who worked them.